Go for it, Corey.
Are we on? Because
We're
it says
on.
off air. Oh, okay. So just like in an improv scene, and you always tell actors, don't have a conversation with somebody off stage when there are 3 actors on stage with you.
Right.
It makes no sense improvisationally. Why have this really rich conversation you're only hearing half of?
Yeah.
So I always thought, well, all this great stuff is happening, and Mallory is simply reacting to it, and we're not really getting a full scene. Did we lose Scott? Oh, Scott is there.
No.
You're not frozen this time.
I'm here. Yeah, so...
I just thought that the whole Cindy is missing conversation was a very sort of an awkward way of ending the act, but at least we know that Cindy is missing.
And speaking of awkward ways of ending the act, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. And we are back. So Cindy is missing. They had an argument, she and her mother, and she ran away. This is what we all learned secondhand through Mallory from the phone call.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen more food used as props in 2 scenes in a row? From all the cake and the tea and the milk in the midnight scene, and now we're at breakfast in the morning, and there's eggs and there's orange juice and there's coffee. It's like, oh my God, stop eating, Keatons.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. What's that indicative of? Is it a reaction against Carter's malaise speech? Like what?
I don't know. I just think it's like, you know what? We need to give these actors something active to do during the scene, and if we have them eat a meal, we don't really have to give much more direction than that.
Yeah,
I think Craft Services overdid it that day, and they were just like, you know what? Just bring it all over to the set.
On the set.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Alex is on the phone as it's morning breakfast. Alex is on the phone and he's saying, okay, yeah, she's a blonde girl, 15 years old, about 5'3", and then he's like, no mask or flippers, and then he's like, all right, thanks very much, and then he hangs up and he goes, well, she's not at the library. It was a brilliant joke. It was so absurd, and it was so funny that the studio audience didn't get it. All you got were like, they were like titters. They were just like, that's too smart.
I simply wrote the word flippers at the library. I just couldn't believe that was the joke that they left there, was flippers at the library.
That is like some Mr. Show level crap. That's like amazing. I can't believe that Family Ties would make a joke like that.
Very abstract joke.
Really abstract.
Mm-hmm.
So, they eventually, what happens is, they discover, Cindy comes in. She's at the door. Alex says, I think I know where to find her, because she's right there. And Alex asks, we've been looking for you. Where have you been? And she's been hanging out at the mall, the arcade.
Excuse me, may I ask a question, Scott and Paul?
Yes, please, please.
What mall is open in the middle of the night that you can walk in?
I think there have been whole movies made about where kids stay in the, like the mixed up files of Basil E. Frankenweiler, that whole thing. Jesus Christ, I'm like a walking Wes Anderson movie. Good Lord.
Awful.
I exhaust myself.
She claims she went to a movie in the middle of the night, too.
It's
a movie theater that's running 24-hour movies, which must be the same movie theater that shows revivals of Bye Bye Birdie.
Yeah.
Jennifer wants to go see that,
Yes.
I was having a really hard time with the timeline of all this.
Yeah, because Jennifer wanted to go to a movie, and they're eating breakfast. What time do movies start in Dayton, Ohio?
She wanted to get the early bird special. You know how in New York you get cheaper, like half-price tickets? So
absolutely.
She wanted to pay a hay penny to go to see a movie.
A hay penny?
Mom, I have a hay penny. Can I go see the picture show?
We're on budget.
I hear they got moving pictures in Columbus, Ohio.
So this whole Cindy thing, all this movie going, Jennifer going to the movie, Cindy going to the movie, none of it made any sense to me, and yet I still like this episode.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there was another thing. I think they were trying to do another, like, long-range joke thing, where because earlier in the episode, Steven almost paraphrases the song "Kids" from Bye Bye Birdie, where he's like,
Does
"What's
he?
the matter?" He almost says something along the lines of, "What's the matter with kids today?" Like from the line of dialogue.
Wow.
So then when Jennifer goes to see Bye Bye Birdie, I was like, "Oh, there you go." And then at
She
the
comes
end,
in singing, put on a happy face.
put on a happy face. So I feel like they were doing like a long-range sort of insider joke thing.
I love it. I didn't even realize that he had referenced kids earlier.
Yeah, I think that's why Bye Bye Birdie makes such a prominent, like, where they name drop it.
Then it makes sense. It makes a lot more sense than it just being a random movie.
Right. And then we learned that Alex, during all of this episode, the scene where they're waiting for Cindy, or trying to find her, we learned that Alex keeps Playboys behind his business week.
Right, and that was weird to me too because he's so offended about ourselves, our bodies in the house, and yet no one has a problem with him openly saying, "I got Playboys that I look at."
Yeah.
Yeah, but let's face facts. 1982 Playboys. Come on, it's like looking at a Victoria's Secret catalog now.
It really is. I mean,
they're very anesthetized.
I used to, at my dad's store, we would sell porn and everything, like magazines and stuff like that. And looking back, there was this one guy who would come in every Sunday, and I was always excited. He was this little round guy, because he would spend like $55 a week on porno mags. Like, and then every time I log on to Pornhub, I'm like, you poor son of a bitch.
If you only knew
the money you could have saved on porn.
It was free, and you can get as much as you want.
Whatever weird shit you want. You want a girl fucking two different furries? I'll send you the link. Right? At Quality Time with Family Ties.
Don't waste your money.
I always forget that Paul's father owned a. He doesn't still own the magazine store.
No, he sold it. Yeah.
Right, but I just always forget, and whenever you tell me that. I have told you that my grandfather owned a magazine stand when I was a kid.
Wow.
Like a New York, like a real deal magazine stand type thing.
In Grand Central Station, down on the tracks.
That's amazing.
And I used to sit on the counter of my grandfather's magazine stand, and as people got off the trains at rush hour, there was a morning paper and an afternoon paper. I think at the time the News was the morning paper and the Post was the afternoon paper.
Okay.
And I would sit there and I would just hand out copies of the Post, and people would hand me a nickel, and it's just, that's something that you and I have in common that I always forget to mention to you.
Please tell me that you used to bite the nickels.
It's a good one. All right. Enjoy your reads.
Mr. Anderson, hey.
How you doing?
We got your papes. Did you hear what happened? Al Smith is running for president. Who could be a Catholic and run for president?
I have to borrow
the Wall Street Journal.
I got to wear Scott's Newsies hat.
Yeah. I would love to see that.
That's amazing. I didn't know that we had that connection. That's so cool.
Yes. Every time you mention it, I always think, I have to tell Paul that. That's so funny.
Wow.
Did you guys ever find it weird that they sold porn in airports?
Yes. Like, what are you going to do?
Really strange.
It seems pointless to me.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to do anything with it on the plane, but I guess it's for when you get off the plane, then you want to get off.
Yes, when you go to the hotel and you're away from your wife or husband or whatever.
Right.
Well, I thought about that too, but then you're going through another airport where you could have bought the porn to take directly to your hotel. Why did you need to buy it to take onto the airplane?
Right. It just makes no sense.
Oh my God, you just reminded me of something when you said wife or husband. When I was maybe 7 years old, there was one guy who got some gay porn, some magazines, and he comes up and he checks out, and I said to my mom, I'm 7 or 8 years old, I was like, oh, is that for his wife that he was getting those? Like he's the most accommodating husband ever.
Uh-huh.
Here you go, honey.
I'm glad you had gaydar working when you were 7 or 8, Paul.
Oh, yeah.
So magazines aside, guys, we finally have a big meeting with Cindy, her mom, Elise, and Mallory. And here's the thing that bugged me a little bit, is that the solution at the end of this episode of all of them getting together and talking, it kind of felt like, for me, it felt like that's something Elise would have come up with sooner.
How so? What do you mean? Like, what was your? I don't understand.
For me, it felt like when Elise is like, "Oh, you need to go talk to your mom," and Cindy's saying, "No, I really can't." She'll yell and scream at me. It just felt for me as a character, Elise would be like, "You know what? How about you and your mom come over and we'll all sit and we'll all talk about it."
Yeah, that's the problem with Family Ties. They're terrible with plotting. They're so awful at it.
Well, I think they needed to set this up in this order, and they kept the timeline pretty close because it's really the night before and the morning after.
Right.
So they didn't
except for movie show times.
Right. But I thought that I agree with you. I think it was all leading towards this big powwow that they needed to have, where Elise and Mallory and Cindy and her mom all sit down and hash this out, with Elise acting like a therapist to try and keep this even-keeled. Ultimately, though, I thought the scene with the mom and the daughter was really sort of good. It was well acted.
I thought so too.
It was so good. And it was the scene that should have happened between Stephen and Jake, his father. Without all the
that should be that much sensitivity or starting with totally conflicting with each other and sort of finding a middle ground and everybody settling their emotions down.
Right, and they learned something about each other. That we learned that the mom was a freewheeling kid in the '60s, like Elise ostensibly was, and that's why she's overreacting about trying to keep her daughter in line, and all that kind of stuff, the stuff that you would expect. But it just
Mom seemed thankful to Elise for permitting this to happen at her house and having a non-partial person there to help with the discussion. I thought they sort of handled everything really sort of well for a 1982 sitcom.
Definitely.
There was something about that I love when this happens in sitcoms where the main parents on a sitcom get a chance to show that they're better parents than anyone else.
Oh yeah.
We know what we're doing. It's kind of like a little show-offy, but it's always great.
Well, because you can't cut the legs out from your main characters and show them to have flaws, so you show other characters and keep your lead characters buoyed up.
Mm-hmm.
There was just a line that Elise said to the mom, who was just like, "Well, yeah, Mallory and I have an open line of communication." And there was something like so condescending about it in my head. Mm-hmm. I was just like,
totally,
like you guys don't communicate, but we do.
Right. So maybe try that.
Yeah, and as things are going perfectly during this scene, this is when Jennifer comes in after having seen Bye Bye Birdie, and annoys everybody by singing off-key, Put on a Happy Face.
Right.
But the thing that I want to point out that's really funny to me is that she ends off, she's walking in, like, jiving and stuff, and then she's like, put on a happy face, and she puts her arms out, and she does it in such a way that, to me, it looks exactly like something Michael J. Fox would do, like the physicality of just hit that punch and stay there, and then like let it happen. So either Michael J. Fox is like, listen, idiot, here's how you be funny, or the director was like, listen, idiot, here's how Michael J. Fox is funny.
Do it.
Do what he does.
But oddly enough, both of them spoke to teeny others, starting the conversation with, listen, idiot.
But did you notice that? It was what's those?
I was going to ask you, how much verbal abuse do you think teeny others took on Family Ties?
Not enough. I read a lot of Artaud in college, so the theater of cruelty, you have to bleed your art.
Got to be very aggressive with that.
Yeah.
Right.
But did you guys think? See, I thought this should have been this scene, and the end of this scene should have been the out of the show, and they sort of copped out and sort of pieced on a tag with Alex and Our Bodies Ourselves.
Oh,
and I thought that they really could have ended right here.
Yeah, they totally could have. I wonder why they did. I wonder why. I guess it was just like this was such a. We lost Steven and Alex so much in this episode, they felt compelled for some reason.
I think they did. Yeah. That was the only thing I think of.
Although I have to ask Corey, when you read Our Bodies Ourselves, did you too say, so that's how that works?
If I didn't say it, I definitely thought it.
Wait,
I was terribly surprised.
We have to explain. Because the scene opens in the morning in the kitchen, and Mallory and Jennifer are going through our bodies ourselves. Mallory's explaining how puberty works, what happens to a woman's body, and then Alex comes in and he's like, "Oh, you're reading this shit again?" And they're like, "Maybe you should take some cues from it, Alex."
Mm-hmm.
And then they leave. He looks at it. He flips a couple pages, and then he says, as you said, and it was a laugh out loud joke, and it made me think back.
Good.
I have to apologize to Stephanie Brooks. I don't think it's her fault that she was so, after 24 hours, like, Alex, get out of my face. I feel like he might have been the worst lover ever.
She ever had. Which, understandably so. It was his first time.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because I have a feeling Alex learned about that one part of a woman's body that no one explained to me until Laurie Storm showed me the diagram of it. And explained how it worked. And she was very kind to explain it, and I always thank her whenever I talk to Laurie Storm. She, of course, just remembers having miserable sex with me for a very long period of time. But I, very thankful, and all my subsequent girlfriends and wives have been thankful as well.
How often do you talk to or see
Yeah, I
your
want to know
friend?
this.
I saw Laurie Storm 10 years ago when I had my 30th high school reunion. I met her in New York, and we had drinks.
That's awesome.
That's incredible. That's awesome.
I don't think she wanted to see me, but we did anyway.
I'm sure her memories aren't as great as yours.
Exactly. I thought
Really?
she was a great girl. She broke my heart, though. She eventually broke my heart. She went away to college.
Aww.
She went away to college and started sleeping with some other guy and jumped my ass within 24 hours.
Same thing happened to me. Same thing happened to me. Yeah.
Well, guys, and so that, and you're right. That's how that laugh out loud joke, as good as it is how the episode is ended, and I agree, it kind of takes away from this nice emotional scene that we have with Cindy and her mom a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Could have been a time thing too. They made it had another minute and a half left to go.
Could have been, and it's kind of bittersweet because I did appreciate the fact it's like, wow, Family Ties is now after that miserable Christmas episode, a laugh out loud joke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and just as a, because it's the plot of the episode, we don't know what happens. They go home and they're going to discuss it further. We don't know
it's
what
ambiguous
Cindy's...
and
right.
And that's fine. I don't really care. Whenever
I kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. At least, I think it's okay because at least at the very beginning of the episode, they made Cindy smart enough to be exploring all her options.
Right.
So it was fine. Yeah, it was fine.
So.
I did kind of want to know more about the mom because just how vague she is about the stuff she did in her past.
Yeah.
I was like, Mom lived hard.
Yeah. Like, she was running drugs with that guy that, what's his name, Young, that Johnny Depp played. Like,
yeah, she was a drug mule.
All the pot and coke in the 70s, yeah.
Yeah. Let's do it. I wanted them to do a spin-off show about the mom and her past. That'd been awesome.
Yeah.
That mom is 75, 76 years old these days, I believe.
Wow.
Nice.
All right,
guys.
Let's wrap this mother up because the next episode is going to be amazing.
I know, guys.
Amazing.
It's going to be, we're very excited for the next episode. We don't want to leave this as a cliffhanger, but we're about to get into some good shit with the next episode. So let's wrap it up. Corey, you still have both your testicles?
Absolutely. Haven't coughed them up yet.
Excellent. So be sure to
Are you
rate
going to
and
ask
review
me? Are you going to ask me, Scott?
Nope.
I would love to get into why that's funny, but that is, if you know Paul Packler, you know why that's funny, and that's a whole other podcast in itself, and we are wrapping up. Okay, and getting back into it. Rate and review our show on iTunes. For questions and comments, email us at qualitytimewithfamilyties@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at QTWFT for all our updates. You can also follow each of us. I'm at Follow Jones.
I'm at Paul Packler.
And I'm at Corpep.
And be sure to like the Facebook page as well. We got to give thanks to everybody at Fanboy Comics, our producer Barbara Dillon for putting the show together. And Fanboy Comics is an online conglomerate of geek media, providing its readers with daily reviews, interviews, and podcasts that span the pop culture. Be sure to check them out at fanboycomics.net. We also want to thank Brian Dillon, who created our fantastic logo and edits our show. He's the president and co-founder of Fanboy Comics. Be sure to follow him on Twitter at Comic Book Slayer, and Sean Foster, who is the Fanboy Comics graphic designer. He also designed our logo. We also want to thank Perry Adams, who beautifully performs the Family Ties theme song Without Us. Be sure to check out Perry's music at perryadams.com. Guys, we will see you all next week. Thanks for listening. Bye. Bye. All right, and we are